Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you, friends? Hope you're having a great day. That you're out and able to appreciate a little bit of beauty. I wanted to bring you outside today. Uh, so there's some construction going on next door, so we can enjoy that. But the opportunity to be out in this beautiful sunny place in this beautiful sunny way, and that uh, and that we might have this chance to come together uh, in a little different atmosphere than the office, as we often do. I hope you're finding this a glorious and beautiful day for yourself as well. Good morning, good morning. Everybody's doing all right on this day. It is a near perfect late summer day and wanted to have the chance to share that with you. All right. Let's see a few more people coming along. We'll let folks come on in and then we'll get going. We've had some beautiful things these days. Good morning, everybody. Hello. All right, friends. Let's get going this morning. Welcome and hope that you are grand on this Wednesday, the 17th day of September. A few days away from the beginning of fall, the end of summer, that I hope in this time of transition, in this time of beauty, that grace and peace find you on at this 11:11. So welcome. There's a there's an interesting and curious fact that I always keep musing about, and it's simply this: that Darwin, the guy who came up with the theory of evolution, the guy who many materialists credit with kind of the first grand breakthrough of how we understand this world as kind of nothing more than a bag of protoplasm with an urge to procreate, and that all of these things, all of the impulses within us, the desires within us, the relationships that we have, the loves that we have, are really just different evolutionary strategies for us to further our DNA down the DNA pool, whatever that means, and then to become people of so that our DNA will continue and others may not, or something like that. But then that requires, and this is a great line, the survival of the fittest, which we've often translated to be the survival of the strongest, but that's not at all what he means. It actually means the survival of those who get of that which is the most adaptable, that which is the most able to contend with the challenges before it. But so that Darwin, just wanted to define our terms here, just to remember who he is. That Darwin was actually buried at Westminster Cathedral. He died still a theist. He died still believing in God. All of the things that are often attributed to Darwin's later being and success. All of that actually really was never Darwin's. And he is raised up and his bones laid down at the heart of Christianity within England, within his native land. I continue to find this just a curious thing. To me, it's like an amazing fact. It's one of those facts that I think there are amazing things in our lives, but to me, this is an amazing little testament because here we are, however many, couple hundred years later, nearly from 150 years later from his observations on the Beagle far out in the ocean, and this kind of his kind of contention of natural selection and how that leads to evolutionary theory and all this sort of stuff, and give ways to this entire field of evolutionary biology, all of that. Yet he's buried in Westminster Cathedral, and to me, and I find this just amazing. And it's amazing because it it speaks to not just the larger cultural context in which our good ideas and our bad ideas are held. Oh, and I'm not saying these good ideas are bad ideas. I'm just saying that these are the ideas that have changed things. These are the ideas that moved the world over the past 150 years. This notion that we might that still, even then, even in all of that, he is buried under the cross of Christ. And so it's a reminder to me that the world is in fact an amazing place, and it's not even just that all the things that happen within it are under the authority of God. Although that's true, although I hold but it's much more this idea that it's just, how about that? And so today I want to encourage you to think about your own things that you say, how about that? And they can come in the smallest of ways. They can come in the smallest of ways. We're in our book study, we've been or in our Bible study, we've been talking through the book of Acts. And one of the things the themes that keep coming out in the book of Acts is that how it's the book of Acts, by the way, if you don't know, is the story of basically the first 35 years of the church. So it is the story from the moment that Jesus ascends into heaven and then the 35 years following that. That's basically what it is. So, and it's the stories of Paul, it's the stories of Barnabas, it's the stories of Peter, of all these different, of many of the disciples and what was going on with them. And what you discover as you look at Acts is that in this birth of the church is that you discover that there's actually one primary actor at work. There's one primary actor, and that primary actor is God. It's the Holy Spirit. It is Jesus that is at work again and again and again. Just last week we read where Paul is chained to the floor, and all of a sudden there's an earthquake, and the earthquake brings out and the earthquake frees the prisoners. All of a sudden Paul arrives in town, and there is a woman named Lydia whose heart is moved to receive and listen to this dude Paul. And that all of these things, there's these amazing little moments, and they're different for all of us, and there's individual, and this is the thing, this is so beautiful about life and creation, is that that we often, they're almost not even shareable in a way, because they're so individualized for each of us. That the way God spoke to Lydia's heart to say, hey, go listen to this Paul guy, he has something for you. And the way that transformed her life, that transformed the life of the church, that gave the church a birthplace in Philippi, in Macedonia. The way all of this comes together. We try, you ever try, it's like trying to describe a dream to someone. Have you ever done that? Like, I had this dream. It was so meaningful. I was playing poker with a beaver, and it was amazing. And everybody the first thing they actually teach you in preaching class is don't talk about spiritual experiences from the pulpit. Not because it's not good to talk about spiritual experiences, but they are your experiences, and they are designed and they're given for you. And I think these amazing little tidbits of our life, and that we have, these amazing little things that kind of give you how about that? And that sometimes are highly individualized, like the Spirit talking to Lydia, or sometimes just exist in a way. They kind of hang out there as these little kind of like little foam fingers pointing up. They're not the thing, but they're the thing that points to the thing. And I think of that when I think of Darwin, and I think of Darwin's long journey of life. I think of his, frustration at the end of life. He's kind of a frustrated guy at the end of life. He kind of considered himself a failure in a lot of ways, and kind of there were things he couldn't solve, and he kind of went to his grave with that. And then the fact that he was buried at Westminster Cathedral, the fact that the very church in which he was born, the church in which, the context in which, oh, by the way, he was supposed to be a clergyman. He actually began his training as a clergyman, and he really kind of hated it and wanted to be a scientist, and obviously did. But this very basic notion that even within our examinations, even within our journeying, even within our struggles, even within our shortcomings, even within the struggles of our being, there's this way in which we are still held within the body of the love of God, and that is made for us, and it speaks to us as individually as our thumbprint, as individually as God speaking to Lydia, as individually as the earthquake striking at just the right time to release Paul from prison. In all of and it all comes and I share a few of those with I share one of mine with you. One of these things that, like, to me goes, huh, and I don't necessarily assume that's going to inspire you greatly. Like, it's not. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it bounces your needle, maybe it doesn't. But what I want to encourage you today is to look at the things that do, because I know there are. I know there are things in your life that are like, huh, whether they're historical facts, whether they're or whether they're stories that you built with the people that you love, that are personal in your life, whether they're in movements and indwellings of the spirits, whether they're these spiritual experiences that came to you that were so profoundly individualized and so profoundly yours. Maybe they were a dream that got you to one other place. Maybe they were confidence that showed up. This. Spend a moment today thinking about those things that are amazing graces, to you. Because for me, the power of the story of Darwin's resting place is one of those amazing little graces that I can point to and say, yeah, in all my wanderings and all my wonderings and all of my joys and all of my rebellion, that I am still held in the cathedral of God. And that in that, God is still speaking into my life, God is still working in my life, and God is still speaking into your life, and God is still working into your days. I don't care if you're 9, I don't care if you're 90, I don't care if you feel like it's all washed up, I feel like you're getting ready to getting ready to ring the bell. I don't care where you are in that, because that reality is beyond our feeling state, and it's beyond our being. It simply is the way things are. Just as the great scientist, the great explorer, the great Charles Darwin rests in Westminster Abbey. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today, that we might come outside on this beautiful day, that we might have this moment of time together, and that it is my hope you'll spend a little time together looking at those things that you find as amazing graces. Peace and grace to you all, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.